Hall of Fame speaker, and award-winning storyteller, Kelly Swanson.
In the middle of our tiny town, tucked out far beyond where you have been, we have a concrete fountain where coins have been thrown in. And if you look quite closely into the water, I am told, you'll see a type of coin that doesn't match the type of coin your pockets hold. If you were inclined to pick it up by chance, you would find it ordinary, probably not worth a second glance. If you were to appraise it for its value and its cost, you would probably throw it back and never worry if it's lost. But if you knew the stories of where this coin has been, if you knew the magic it has brought to every hand it's in, if you knew how far it traveled and what a difference it has made with the simple words it whispers, what would you do if you were brave? Well, then you might change your mind and want one of your own to hold when you find that wrapped in story, this simple challenge coin becomes more valuable than gold. You see, the coin started showing up in our town a few years ago. We were running low on hope, going through the motions, burned out, stressed. Maybe you know the feeling. Many of us had quiet quit our jobs and even our lives. And an old man noticed, and he decided to give us all a little push. And he started leaving these coins in ordinary, unexpected places. And each person who's received this coin has asked themselves that question, what would I do if I were brave? And in so doing, he taught us to flip our script, to reimagine what's possible, to see our life and our work through a whole new lens. He knew that the way to get us to change had to start with getting us to change the story that we were writing. And tonight, this one's mine. I'm Kelly Swanson. It's nice to meet you. I'm a motivational speaker and a comedian. That means I tell you you can do anything. Then I tell you I'm just kidding. In case you can't tell from my accent, I'm from Jersey. The South Side. No, I'm from Georgia originally. That's where this accent is from. I currently live in North Carolina. So I'm here tonight, among other things, to bring you a little Southern fried wisdom, wrapped up in a few laughs. So about me, I have one son. He's precious. He's out in the car if you want to go take a peek. He's sweet. He's kind. He loves to make people laugh like I do. But, well, don't tell him, but he's useless. Completely useless. I've heard he'll grow out of it. He's 20. They say, oh, that's a phase. We've given him a nickname. Don't tell him, but we call him Bare Minimum. BM for short. We just got a whole failure to launch thing going on. Not launching the house. I can't even get him to launch the sofa. His two biggest achievements are keeping his heart beating and his cell phone activated. People ask me, is he inspirational like you? I'm like, oh yeah, he inspires us to lower our expectations. I'm trying to teach him some life skills because apparently adulting did not come with his software upgrade. I said, we're going to start with cooking. I said, son, you can make a pizza, frozen pizza. How hard could that be? On the second attempt, because he didn't turn on the oven the first time, second attempt, he cooks an entire pizza with the plastic still on it. I know, right? Our house smelled like melted Barbie dolls for weeks. He blamed the instructions. He said, Mama didn't tell me to take the plastic off. I said, son, the ceiling fan instructions didn't tell you to stick your finger through it either, and here we are. I'm trying to teach him to do laundry. He needs to know how to do laundry. First lesson I said, separate the clothes. Darks, lights, delicates. How hard could that be? He looked at me like I was speaking ancient Egyptian. He said, why? He said, aren't they all going to get wet? I walked out of there as he was throwing a Tide Pod in there like it was contagious. I come back 45 minutes later, all his socks are pink. My new sweater's the size of a sandwich bag. He sees me coming, so he's laying it on thick about how hard the work he's been doing is, leaning into that washing machine, pulling out the clothes, like he's at a job site digging ditches or something. He pulls out my bra. Not just any bra, the heavy-duty one. Commercial grade, steel girded, satin trimmed double harness that could double as a soup tureen at the church potluck. He freaks out, holds it up like he's in Band of Brothers and he's holding a grenade. I said, son, grow up. It's my brassiere. I mean, that's life. I said, you didn't complain about this when I was nursing you. Got all freaked out. I said, don't diss the dairy farm that kept you alive. I said, and I couldn't resist, you and your daddy used to fight over these like the last plate of bacon at the Shoney's. Just wait till you get to my underwear. He is really living into that nickname, I'm going to tell you what. That's a funny thing, too, about names and living into them. Because I knew this kid when I was growing up in school. He was in my class. His family was real poor. He didn't have all the right kind of clothes. He struggled. Didn't say much. And when he did, nobody really paid him any attention. You'd hear him say things like, I'm not cut out for that. I always mess things up. I'm not that kind of smart. Folks didn't expect much of him. And after a while, neither did he. And finally, he just stopped trying. Stopped applying himself, stopped hoping, really. It's like he shrank down to the size of the story that had been given to him. Wearing it like a hand-me-down, faded old shirt that no longer fit, but it feels so familiar, you just keep wearing it. Because that's the thing. What you call yourself matters. And eventually you start answering to whatever name you're giving yourself. But that wasn't his story forever, because somebody came along. It was just a neighbor hired him to mow the grass. And he saw something different in that boy. And he spoke a new name over him. Told him he had value. Told him he was smart in ways hadn't been measured yet. And little by little, that young man started to believe him. And he started showing up different. Started speaking up. Started walking taller like he had a reason to be here. Now, he owns his own landscaping business. And he's a youth pastor. He mentors kids. Loves the ones that were just like him. Because he's always reminding us it's never too late to change your story. Because what you call yourself is who you become. So choose wisely. Speak kindly. And if nobody's ever given you a better name, maybe today is the day you speak a new name over yourself. It's never too late. Which makes me think, maybe I need to go home and speak a new name over bare minimum. I'm just saying. So I have one son, I got one husband that I know of. He's a prepper. A prepper, somebody who is actively preparing for a catastrophic event. Keyword being actively. He's got the checklist. He's got the bug out kits. He's got bows and arrows and cans lined up by expiration date. Preppers, oh, and no, he was not like that when I married him. Preppers sleep well at night knowing that we got enough powdered eggs and canned chili to outlive civilization. His backup food's like beef jerky enough to pave a city. I'm like, where's the Thin Mints? Where's the Cheese Whiz? He watches one episode of Doomsday Prepper, and instead of getting window treatments, we got to get a bunker and a goat. He's got 400 pounds of rice in our basement. But I bought 2 pairs of jeans, and he called me excessive. Welcome to my world. He is over there planning for, I don't know, nuclear war, Armageddon, zombie apocalypse. And I told him I was worried about sharks being at the beach on our vacation. Know what he said? You're being unrealistic. He said, what are the odds? Unrealistic? Dude, you got a flamethrower. Sit down. He makes us do family drills. He'll say it's a simulation. Go, go, go. He starts yelling and blowing his whistle. Bring your bug out kit. We all come rushing out of the house towards the truck like we're rushing the beaches at Normandy. He's got his bag with tactical equipment, MRE, solar panels. I got my bag with Little Debbie snack cakes, extra eyelashes, and my emergency support lip gloss. BM comes sauntering out with a broken joystick controller and a McDonald's coupon, asking, can we bring the router? We jump in the car to go to our safe place. It's just a shed with a lantern in the woods behind the parking lot of the Dollar Tree. Not supposed to tell anybody. He's all in there. We're sitting around. He's checking off all these things. So happy he remembered everything. He forgot one thing. Guess what he forgot? Cell phone. Emergency, and the man does not bring his cell phone. BM brought his, but he didn't charge it. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there with a little sequin clutch purse and a mini bottle of Chardonnay. Yes, I am aware of the irony that a motivational speaker who is telling everybody the best is yet to come, hope lasts, and my husband is preparing for the end of the world. We are quite the power couple. Both motivated, that is very true. And we are a great example of how 2 people can sit in the same reality and each write an entirely different story. Proving life isn't reality. It is the funnel you run it through, your perception and the story you write with it that will dictate how you show up, what you believe, and what you call to you in this world. And I don't really fault him because he's just trying to control what he can. And we all do that. We all do that. Sometimes we forget, And we have that death grip on how we think life should be, and we forget what we can control. I remember walking into my aunt's kitchen. She's the one that collects roosters. It was cute for the first 5 years. After that, it got sort of creepy. I walked into the kitchen, and she's standing there at the silverware drawer, moving the forks from one side to the other. Now, you might think that's not a big deal. So she's organizing the silverware. You should have seen the way she was doing it. It was methodical. She had purpose to it. Her jaw was set. Her body was tight, as if she were holding in 1,000 things she wouldn't say out loud. I thought, she's losing her mind. And you'd understand if you knew what happened behind closed doors. And no, not everybody can just up and walk away. And then I realized, wait a minute, she's not just organizing silverware. She's looking at a part of her world that she has power over. And she is finding peace and comfort in the part of this that she can control. She is not losing her mind. She is holding on to it, one drawer at a time. Life is hard. So many things we can't fix. But you can turn and find your small little corner of your world that you do have power in. And flip that script and see it in a different way. So maybe the question isn't, how do we fix this? Maybe the question is it time to move your forks? So I got a son, I got a husband, I got a dog who I might love more than the husband. He's sweet. Max, he's a German Shepherd-ish. I'm sort of introverted. I don't really like big crowds. And if you're going to give me a hug, I need about 3 days' notice and a stiff drink. But I will flat out kiss that dog on the lips like we just got engaged. I love him. My husband told me, no dogs. Period. Enter in that little ball of fluff with the brown eyes, and he smells a little bit like Fritos. Can we keep him? Can we keep him? My husband said, all right, but he's your responsibility. Period. When I left my house, that man was feeding that dog his food by hand like he was raising some kind of Disney prince. First day, husband says, no dog in the bed. Period. That dog sleeps in between of us like he's negotiating a peace treaty. This no dog man will spoon Max now instead and tell me to scoot over. The dog's got his own orthopedic pillow. I've been sleeping on the same flapjack pillow I've had since 2003. No dog man bought premium pet insurance like he birthed the darn thing. I'm waiting for them to go out shopping for rings. Because if that dog figures out how to make spaghetti and nag him about his cholesterol, they're not even going to know I'm alive. I'm going to become the lap dog. Give me treats, make me sit, and hope they let me out when I need to pee. But one thing I love about a dog, among many things, is how he always shows up. He always shows up. I mean, if I'm coming into a room, if I'm getting excited about something, whether I've been gone for 3 days or to the mailbox, I come back in, boom, he's there. Tail wagging, he shows up. And that counts for something in this life, showing up. We don't get that a lot. I'll take it in fur. My uncle, He's a vet. And I remember this time he talked about, and it was the only time he ever talked about the war. One time he brought it up. And he talked about the first time he was out in the field. I think that's what he called it. And how it was hot and it was loud, and he said he was young and he was scared and he was frozen with fear. Felt like he wasn't strong enough for whatever was ahead. And he said the soldier beside him reached out and handed him a canteen of water. No speech, no lecture, no words about bravery, just a shaking hand with a canteen of water that said, "You're not alone." He said that one action, he said, broke through my fear and is what got me standing up again. And kept getting me standing up over and over. He said, I learned that courage isn't something we find alone. It's something we borrow from the people who show up. He said, it's not about medals and victories and honors. That's nice. He said, but we really weren't doing it just for the glory. We were doing it for each other. The people who show up and hold the line while you get your footing. And I think life is like that. And I think our work is like that. The victory's empty if we don't have anybody that we can share it with. What's the point? The successes that we've had in our work, we didn't get them alone. We got them because somebody held the line and passed us a drink of water. And you may not see it, but somebody out there is stronger because of you showing up in their moment and letting them know they're not alone. So when we go back to work, let's try to remember these aren't just tasks that we do. There's a bigger story we're telling. Not for the brand, not just for the paycheck, but maybe just for the person beside us who's holding the line. Yeah. Flip your script. See your work in a different way. It'll make all the difference. So, what else? I live near my mother. Daddy passed about 1.5 years ago. It's too soon to tell any stories about him. But we're trying to help Mama navigate this new world that she's in, her new normal. Figure out what she's going to do all day. She's been with him since high school. She doesn't knit. She doesn't do crossword puzzles. But we finally landed on the perfect form of entertainment for my mother. Critiquing me. I am her Sudoku. She calls me every day. And if I don't answer within 2 hours, she calls my sister and asks her, have I joined a cult? She loves giving me feedback. Last time I went to her house, I wore leggings. She said, have we just given up now? She said, you were so pretty when you tried. Now she likes to come to my speeches. Sits in the front row, clutching her little purse, watching my program like she's watching a figure skating competition and not approving. Everybody around me laughing, clapping. She'll be mouthing, you wore that. She comes back with notes, feedback. She's like, your ending's a little weak. She's like, I think you need a cartwheel. Or at least thank Jesus, she said. My mama, bless her heart, she brought me into this world and she's going to censor every minute of it. And when she's gone, I'm going to wish for every single doggone one of these moments back. I know. Mama knows all my business. She knows everybody's business, truth be told. And sometimes that's annoying, but sometimes it's comforting to have somebody know your business like Mr. Dawson at the bank. Oh, we love Mr. Dawson at our bank, not for the lollipops and the fancy coffee he's got in the lobby, but because Mr. Dawson knows everybody's business, and he cares. He knows who needs a new roof and who needs a new husband. He knows who's had twins and who's had twins but will only claim one of them. He doesn't just sell services. No. He cares about people. And he connects with them. And he knows that connection isn't a bonus in his bank. Connection is the business. So whatever you're selling, I know we're all selling something, all trying to influence, persuade, whatever it is. When you go back, don't focus so much on what you're selling. Focus on who you're selling it to. What's their story? What's the common ground you got between them? Find a way to care. And remember that connection isn't a bonus. It's the business. I'm just saying. So what else? Y'all party a lot around here? I don't party much, not anymore. I used to. I don't party like I used to. I don't party like anybody used to. I remember back in the day, I could drink a drink out of a cup the size of a bird bath. I'd stay up all night. I'd eat gas station nachos and show up at work first thing in the morning, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. No problem. Now, I drink one mimosa and I'll spend the next 48 hours Googling, does my liver still work? We used to pregame before we went out. We went out late. We had ABBA playing on a loop, Dancing Queen. We'd take shots, lots of glitter. When I go out now, I don't pregame. I pre-medicate. Like I need a Prilosec, I need an Advil, I need a heating pad on standby, and a bag of snacks in case my blood sugar crashes. I'm pathetic. I had to go to a club recently. My niece's bridal party thing, they all went to a club. They said, come on, go. It's low key. I walked in that club. That music was so loud, I could feel my uterus vibrating. The lights were all flashing on and off real fast like a seizure warning. I felt like I was a mom lost at a rave. The bartender says, what do you want? I said, electrolytes and a chair. I said, give me something light and fruity. I got something called a glittered unicorn drop kick. I don't know. I don't even know. But I drank half of it and I couldn't even remember any of my passwords. I drank the other half, I didn't even know my name. I tried dancing for about 5 minutes, and then my watch thought I'd taken a fall. I kept trying to call 911. Are you okay? Are you okay? It was awful. I finally got out of there. I escaped. Took an Uber, went home, put on my sweatpants, ate a Lunchable in my bed like a hero that I am. That was an awful, awful time. I will not do that again. My knees have filed for a restraining order. My watch thinks I died. Wasn't a fun night out. That was a full body audit. I don't miss the good old days. It's funny about the good old days. I was thinking how when we're in the good old days, we never realize we're in the good old days. We're always waiting for the next thing coming, you know, the one day, the someday. Saving it up for what may come. My dad worked his whole life saving for someday, the one day. If you go into my kitchen and you look in that top cabinet, it's going to be full of plastic, plastic things. Like Cool Whip containers, you know, kind of got melted a little bit in the dishwasher. Labels off, got a Sharpie of somebody's name on the bottom. You got to hold your mouth just right to even get it halfway on. But in the corner is a stack of pristine Tupperware. Had never been opened. Still in the package. It's been there, I think, 10 years. My husband says, why is that up there? I said, I'm saving it. He said, saving it for what? I said, a special occasion. He said, what kind of a special occasion? I said, I don't know. Maybe we'll get invited by the Queen or something. Special occasion. And then the other night, I'm having popcorn on my sofa, eating it out of a mixing bowl with a sock with a hole in the toe. And I'm thinking, why am I doing that? Why am I saving my Tupperware? Thought of my aunt who's 80 and still got plastic on her couch to keep it nice. I thought, why am I doing that? Why can't I be the special occasion? Why can't someday be today? And I got out that Tupperware. I took it out. I popped some new popcorn like it's the 4th of July. I went to my gift closet and got the fuzzy slippers that somebody gave me I thought were too nice for me, so I was going to re-gift them, and I opened them up and I put them on. I sat on that sofa and I ate that popcorn. That was the best popcorn I ever had in my life. I called my aunt. I said, take the plastic off your couch. You're 80. Today's the day. Life is short. Don't wait for someday. Use the good stuff now. Because maybe like my dad, you won't get your someday. So take it today. Use the good stuff. You're the special occasion. Yeah. So I remember when I had to flip my script and follow what it said on my coin in a personal way. I'd gotten invited to speak at an event. It was WELF. I Googled it, Women Executives in Luxury Fragrance. I was excited. Women, perfume. I was like, I can put my full glam on for this event. I love me a room full of women. So I was going to do it all, even have lavender-scented business cards made up. Nothing says keynote speaker like Ode to Ambition. So I'm standing there in the lobby, all ready to go in and speak, and I'm shaking some guy's hand in a fancy suit. Now wait, let me tell you too. Let me back up and tell you how fully prepared I am for this event, because you got to know all that goes into this. First of all, I had on the Spanx. Men, if you don't know what Spanx are, it's like trying to shove a marshmallow into a straw. At which point, breathing becomes optional. And I had gotten a really fancy Spanx compression tank top. It had taken me 20 minutes, a coat hanger, and a jar of coconut oil to get in that thing. I think I bruised a couple of ribs, but I was all bundled up and looking good. Next thing I did was I put in my clip-in hair extensions. Life changer. Probably shouldn't tell all my secrets. You're welcome. But they're wonderful till Max comes running through the house with one thinking he's done treat him a squirrel. My husband thought we had a rodent problem. I said, that's not a rodent, that's my Easter Sunday bun topper. Give it back. And I only wear the good stuff now, ladies. You gotta buy, or men, no judgment. You gotta buy the good stuff because the cheap ones will fall out easy. I learned that the hard way. Went up at church and went to hug my cousin. My topper fell off. Landed right there in the baptismal pool. That day, Jesus took the wheel and my hair. It got saved before my cousin did. I'm just saying, you didn't hear it from me. So then, of course, I had the eyelashes on. I call them my eye wigs. I glue them on and then say a little prayer that they don't pop off in the middle of a meeting. They're high drama. They're wonderful, but they're always trying to make a break for it. Remember that. It's going to come up later. And then, of course, I had my press-on nails. I did them all myself, thinking I'm doing good. I'm saving money. My prepper husband will be proud. Of course, I'm standing there in the lobby shaking that fancy man's hand. I look down, and don't you know it, I see a bright pink fingernail hanging on the side of his tie. Looked like it was begging for a job promotion. It had popped off, landed right there. He was horrified. I guess he doesn't speak press-on. I told him, because I'm quick on my feet, I said, "Sir, I'm a motivational speaker. That's a customized trinket. If that lands on you, you are destined for greatness." I don't think he believed me. He walked off. I didn't tell him about the time I lost my fingernail in the shrimp salad at the all-you-can-eat salad buffet over at the Ruby Tuesdays. I was so embarrassed I didn't go in after it. I just left it there. I know, that's awful. I had to eat my whole meal with my hand in my pocket so nobody'd know. I feel bad for the poor person who got a shrimp with a French tip. So I'm standing in there and I'm ready to go because I am feeling good. I walk into that room ready to take charge of that day, full glam on, smelling like lavender. I walk in that room and I walk right into a wall of not what I expected. There wasn't any glamour in there. There wasn't any glitz in there. There wasn't really any women in there. I didn't smell perfume. I was like, "Lord, what is it?" I just saw a bunch of men wearing khakis and conference polos, clutching their notebooks like they're going into battle. I looked like a show chicken at a NASA briefing. Like glitter had run into a graphing calculator. I said, maybe I'm in the wrong room. I went out, I looked on the sign. No, it said right there, WELF. World Economic Leadership Forum. World Economic Leadership Forum, darn that Google. Well, what am I going to do? Show must go on. I'm looking like an idiot. Got sequins on my clothes, feathers. I hit the stage. I started talking. What you going to do? Show must go on. So I get up on that stage, and I'm about 3/4 into my talk when I feel something on my eye. Felt loose. I thought, oh, Lord, that's my eyelash. Whole strip. They come out in a whole strip. It's flapping to the side. I thought, oh, just stay there. Just stay there. It'll be fine. Just stay there. But no. Comes loose, starts sliding down my cheek like a spider. Those engineers are staring at me like I was giving some kind of wind resistance demonstration. And so I tried to lightly pat it away, just kind of do this number to get it off. But I don't know, my fingernail, my watch, something got caught on a hair extension. And it pulled it halfway out. It's now stuck to my fingers. And I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? Because this side is polished keynoter. This side is late stage Britney. And I gasp and I hear a noise. It's a loud noise that traveled up through the microphone, something like between a rubber band and a Coke can opening up. What is it, you say? It was the sound of my Spanx compression system snapping under all the pressure. I'm standing there and that tank top flips up my torso like a cheap window shade, sending my belly button into early retirement. I'm standing there in a full-on boob hammock, one snap away from total chaos and being a cautionary tale. The engineers are all staring, not saying a word. I didn't know what to do. I said to myself, just keep talking, Kelly, just keep talking. But my brain heard, just keep walking. Just keep walking. And that's what I did. I walked right off the front of the stage. 4 feet drop there is. I'm midair like Bugs Bunny before the anvil hits. My whole life flashes before my eyes. Wondering, did I wear my good underwear? Wished I'd have shaved my legs. The engineers are all staring in slow motion, watching me. Finally, gravity took over and pulled me to the ground, and I landed on both feet, bent like this, and I had a moment. How you gonna play this, Kelly? How you gonna play it? Flip that script. You better own it, girl. So what I do, I stood up, And I threw my arms up in the air like I just nailed the dismount at the balance beam Olympic finals. And then I said the only words that would come to my mind. I will now take questions from the floor. People fell out. Engineers who hadn't laughed since Windows 95 were wheezing and banging the tables and laughing. That fiasco was the hit of the conference. And just like that, I'm the first woman ever invited back to speak at the World Economic Leadership Forum. Not for my brilliance, but because the big dog sponsor got up on that stage after me with my fingernail hanging on to the edge of his tie like a badge of honor. Said I was his favorite speaker. Said the only one who'd ever left a piece of herself behind. I said, sir, if you can find the eyelash and the hair extension, you'll have the whole set. But there was a moment you didn't see when I was suspended in midair. And the whole world had turned into slow motion. And a little girl danced right into my vision. And you wouldn't know her, but I did. Because it was me as a little girl in my bare feet in the backyard. The little girl who saw the world in unapologetic color. But somebody told her she was too much. And she put her sparkle away. And she started trying to be like everybody else. She locked eyes with me. And she said, Kelly, it's time. And I nodded. And she twirled. And she said, we're not going to hide anymore. And in that moment, I came home to that little girl who didn't need fixing. She just needed to be remembered. That day, I chose brave, even though I didn't feel it, because I was borrowing from the courage from all the people who have showed up in my life and who showed up here tonight. That day I flipped my script and I spoke a new name over myself. Not one the world gave me, but the name I'm going to give myself, and I am not going to look back. I'm going to do this my way. And now I just leave you with one question. As if this coin landed in your hand and you were faced with the question, what would you do if you were brave? Would you be brave enough to take a look at the stories that you're telling yourself to see if they're working for you or if they're working against you? Would you take a look at the stories you're writing about the situations you're in and the world you're in? Would you take a look at the stories that you're telling other people in the moments that you have to influence and persuade? What would you do if you were brave enough to flip your script, reimagine what is possible? Because it's never too late to see your life and your work in a whole new story. Maybe all you needed was a little push. I'm Kelly Swanson. It's nice to meet you.
How about that? That is an award-winning storyteller, a Hall of Fame speaker. One more time for Kelly Swanson.